I told you guys that there are some of the things that these white folks do, especially white men, that at the end of the day, you have to critically sit down, think about it, look at that person, and then you'll be asking yourself questions like, is this actually a child? Is it a teen? Or this is actually an adult? Because most of this, their behavior, character, attitude that stinks is coming directly from mostly 50, 60. In fact, a lot of them grandpas. But anyways, their fellow white men are here to drop the chill bone truth. Like when I actually saw the clips of this video, I was like, this is it. I love it when I see some of these white men that literally know the truth are coming out to air out and tell their fellow folks that you see this thing you're about to do or this thing you're already doing, move out of that lane. But anyways, I want you guys to watch and let me know your honest opinion, especially as a white person, and let me know your honest truths. Okay, credit belongs to the original creator of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And if you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Do it, subscribe, like this video, drop me your comments, and lastly, do not forget to share for every other person to get this good news. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking my videos, subscribing, commenting, and also joining my membership, dropping super thanks. I really do not take you guys for granted. You guys are the best. Disclaimers: this is my own opinionistic opinion. Or stay on your lane. Let's get right into this video, guys. I'll be back with commentaries. Let's go watch.
Okay, this is probably going to be a little bit of a long one. Hit the 2x. And talk about white men and why a lot of us end up the way that we are. I'm going to speak about it from the context of white Christian nationalism, what is basically what I grew up in. So first off, I grew up in a household where my dad whooped my ass a lot. My mom was very emotionally chaotic, unstable. And so from a very young age, we are taught as white men that authority is always right? So we're already starting to build the foundation of narcissism, right? Because I'm beating your ass because I love you. The parent cannot be wrong. This is their foundation for raising respectful little white boys. Can't go to mom and figure out how to regulate because she's either fucking mad or happy and not much in between. So then you learn to internalize your emotions and you kind of learn to turn that off, right? So then we have this foundation of a lack of emotional regulation because we cannot express ourselves. We cannot be contrary to what the rules are. So we have that narcissistic foundation. We have that violence foundation. And then we get reinforced through media, right? Who are all the good guys? Who's the standard? You know, growing up in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, generally it's the white man. You got white superheroes. You're taught, the cops are basically God's chosen. So cops can't do anything wrong. If they ever get pushed back, if they ever get somebody running for them, whatever, that person is at fault every single time. So then we step into the white evangelical church where authority again is reinforced through the lens of white supremacy. They're not going to say that explicitly, but that's the foundation of the white evangelical church. And then you get indoctrinated at a young age with this idea that I am nothing without God. You hear it in all the songs. You hear it in all the fucking sermons and all this shit. So again, you have this foundation of violence, narcissism. You enter in the white evangelical church, which is also narcissistic. You have this reinforcement of violent authority. And then you also have your identity is wrapped up in, again, a white supremacist structure under the church. A lot of white men grow up with no identity outside of what is essentially forced onto us. And then when you're in the church, my parents had me go on missions trips to fucking Mexico, Haiti. And so this idea gets reinforced, this colonizer foundation that communities outside of whiteness need me. It's reinforcement of whiteness is the standard. The white saviorism is implanted in your brain. And again, the church reinforces this over and over and over again. And then again, I've talked about this a lot in the white evangelical church. You have them preaching about how Christians are supposed to be in the world, not of the world. You're going to be hated because you're a follower of Christ, which reinforces the victim narrative while simultaneously reinforcing the narcissism. We pick up this duality of viewing ourselves, no identity, inherently narcissistic, while simultaneously being able to play the victim. And we see that playing out right now in a major way, right? White men, we have everything we could fucking ask for and more. And still, you see a massive outburst of white domestic terrorism. White men are the most dangerous population in America. For what? For what? So it's this idea that's reinforced from the Trump administration on down that somehow white men are the victims of these other communities outside of whiteness, which isn't fucking true. But if I'm the victim, if my parents are a victim of my behavior and their response is violence by beating our ass or emotional violence, that programming comes out of us as white men as well. So if I feel like I'm a victim of whatever made up fucking bullshit from a Klan goddamn government, then a response is I have to protect my rights by any means necessary. Bro, it's so fucking wild because we have all the rights, all the privilege, all the power as white men in this country. The patriarchy protects us. I said this yesterday, we are the main source of oppression in America. But our programming has us in this duality of being the victim and the perpetrator at the same time. We're not the victim, ever. I mean, I guess being a victim of our parents' violence when we're young and have no control over that. But outside of that, again, we have everything we want and we need. That's why it's so fucking crazy right now, because straight white Christian men are the most protected in this country. And straight white men are the ones that are going to churches and schools and supermarkets and all this shit and shooting up the place. So it's this constant feeding into the foundation of the narcissist victim complex, which just breeds violence and gives white men the opportunity to justify what the fuck we carry out, while simultaneously making it look like we need to be the saviors of all these other communities, while simultaneously making us think that we're the fucking standard based on how we were raised, based on how the news, the media portray white men, based on how a lot of people interact with us because they don't want the violent outbursts aimed at them. And so a lot of white men grow up emotionally and developmentally stunted. You got 30, 40, 50-year-old men with the emotional intelligence of a goddamn 7 or 8-year-old. And white men escape accountability at every turn, right? Because if I'm supposed to be the standard, which again, we are fed, that's fed into our foundation from very little. If I'm supposed to be the savior, if I can ultimately be the victim and the narcissist, there's nothing anybody can tell me or hold me accountable to, because it's all justified through the foundational principles that were set in our family, in the white evangelical church, in this false sense of patriotism, white Christian nationalism, which is just violence. So violence is constantly reinforced. No accountability, the ability to be the narcissist and the perceived victim at the same time. And this is all programmed into white little boys from a very, very young age. All the misogyny, all the homophobia, all the xenophobia, the way we see our dads treat and talk about women, the way we watch our dads treat and talk about, Black, indigenous communities of color, the xenophobia, like the list goes on. And still, somehow, white men will always figure out a way to victimize ourselves and carry out the most violence at the same fucking time. It's such a massive mind fuck. So I guess that's what I see.
If you're someone who's trying to understand why so many white men come out of their family structures, their family system, or enter into adult life and adult society completely fucked up, I'm going to give you a brief glimpse into what it's like to be a white man who was raised in a middle class to upper middle class white family in America. I was having a conversation with my mom earlier, and the conversation was about, politics and current events and all that stuff. But whenever I encroach on the topic of being intolerant to the intolerant, and in this specific situation, always questioning, her and my dad and other members of my family, why do you tolerate people who are, not just openly conservative, but have openly bigoted views? Like, why do you tolerate them? Why do you still consider them to be people worthy of friendship or community? Because objectively, those people are the major contributing factor to the current geopolitical situation we are in. Especially when it comes to the targeted militant harassment and violence being set upon by marginalized groups. And it's usually at this point where they try to just deflect, deny, or de-escalate a situation that's really not even escalated at all, right? But it makes them uncomfortable, so they think that it is an escalated conversation. And when I try to keep the conversation on topic, or I, assert myself because they start to misrepresent, straight up take out of context, or just straight up lie about what I had said previously in the conversation, they take that as being rude or talking down to them. And when I continue to assert myself and set a boundary and state that, I'm not going to let you gaslight me about my positions or what I have literally said in this conversation or in the past, her response specifically is to say, well, I hope you enjoy having an incredibly lonely life. And this is a woman, mind you, who is a social worker, who is a counselor and a licensed school psychologist. That's the kind of response that she chooses to take. And this is also an individual who knows very clearly and very specifically the lack of enthusiasm for life that I have. Because I don't know how else to state that at times I don't wish to be here anymore. And I don't mean here living in my parents' basement at 36 years old. I mean here on this plane of existence. And that is the kind of dialogue and interaction that I have had with my family, specifically my parents, as long as I can possibly remember. And this is not a post to dismiss or explain away the atrocious behavior that white men have enacted upon, pretty much everybody else, including each other in society historically, not at all, but just to slowly open the can of worms, if you will, into the malicious social conditioning that we are subject to by our own familial structures, outside of the, outright indoctrination that our education system and a variety of other institutions, maliciously form our view of society.
White men are the mental health problem in this country. Jim Crow, white men. Slavery, white men. Segregation, white men. Concentration camps for Asian Americans in the late 30s and early 40s. 1,800 people died. How many black people were hung from trees? 8,000. Let me guess. Oh yeah, once again, white men. The gun violence? 98% are men. 84% are white men, U.S. citizens. I see a trend. How about the Middle Passage where 1.2 African Americans died? Oh yeah, once again, white men. Why was the Second Amendment written? Let me think. So black people couldn't have their freedoms. So the white men could once again control them. Who's in the White House? An adjudicated rapist, convicted felon white man. Wow, I see a trend. But somehow Americans are just begging to blame a trans person, a non-white person. See, what happened to George Floyd is symbolic of what's happening in this country. The white man putting his knee on the neck of a non-white person and sitting there in broad daylight with the balls to say, who's going to stop me? And that's what we're seeing right now. So that's the question that we need to ask ourselves as a fucking country. Who's going to stop them? Because I'm just one person here. Now, I don't know about you, but I got friends and family that are sitting behind the white privilege, and I want nothing to do with them. Not because of who they are, because their lack of action. Martin Luther King said, history is going to remember not the people that did bad things, but the good people that stood by and did nothing. Because once again, the white man is hiding behind their privilege while everybody else is getting treated like absolute fucking garbage. Because it doesn't affect me. You don't even want to go on a general strike to stop fascism. Oh, I can't work. Oh, I got a job. White man is the mental health crisis in the United States of America. It has been since day one. When you look at the majority of them, what do you see? A bunch of insecure little wannabe alpha males with small penises that need big trucks and guns to feel like a real man. That's the real problem, is toxic masculinity. That the white man feels unable to shit on everyone's rights just because of how they look. It's ironic, isn't it, that they demonize black people because they're black on the outside, and yet their hearts are black on the inside. Isn't that ironic? And every single time we see a mass shooting, they're just salivating on the white supremacist red hatters to say, oh my gosh, it was an immigrant, it was a trans person, it was a gay people. 84% of gun violence is white men. But when it happens, like at the church the other day, what happens? Oh, thoughts and prayers. But what happened with the racist podcaster? Oh, they were just dying for it to be somebody on the left so they can just blame somebody else. A white man. The church yesterday. A white man. 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 Ahmaud Arbery. Guess what? 3 white men that chased out a black guy. Breonna Taylor. Oh, a white cop. Again and again and again and again and again. It's the same demographic. White men are the problem in this fucking country. And until we address the real mental health epidemic, which is white supremacy, built on white men controlling people, because that's how this country was designed. For 21-year-old land-owning white men to shit on everybody else. This country was designed to benefit my demographic, and that is not okay. That is the original sin of this country. And until we address it, we will never be a great country, and we haven't been a great country. And if you don't like that, then you can ship. This is for you white people that still have your heads up your ass and refuse to accept that this is a shithole country. Do you want to know why you were so upset about the podcaster who was the victim of a school shooting? One of many thousands, by the way. Because just like you don't want to see American history, you want to see white history. Right? You want to believe that we're the best of the best of the best. We're a shithole country. And if you don't like it, you could ship your ass back to England, okay? Because I don't want to hear it. I don't see your papers anywhere. You want to talk about the Middle Passage where 1.2 million African Americans died on the way here and were thrown in fed to fucking sharks? Or the thousands of people that were put in trees and lynched? You want to talk about the 16,000 Native Americans? Or the Asians that were in internment camps? Nope. Nothing to see here. We're a great country. Nope, nope, nope. You don't want to see actual history. Just like you reacted to a racist podcaster. You don't want to see what he actually was. A racist piece of shit. Joked about throwing gay people out of buildings in Gaza. But there's no buildings. Praise Jesus. Asked for the execution of the former president. Praise Jesus. Harris wasn't black. If you're a pilot, are you qualified? Juneteenth. Well, it shouldn't be a holiday. Yeah, where we basically ended slavery. Oh, I'm going to go have a coffee. He was a piece of shit. But you don't want to see that. Once again, you want to whitewash a podcaster. No, I just want to see the good parts. You know who else had a family? The children at Uvalde, Sandy Hook, Columbine. And you didn't give 2 fucks about them, did you? Because it didn't affect your whiteness. And this is what I've said since the jump when this plantation owner took the office. Until MAGA get a fraction of an inch of what it's like to be black in this country, they won't give a shit. And what do you see? Exactly what I predicted. Oh, Jesus is coming! Put his name on a coffee cup. Say his name! Say his name! Put the racist name on the podcaster. How dare you not pass a bill to remember the racist's name? The political violence has to stop. How about January 6th? Oh, that was white people violence. Oh, that's okay. Got it. Very fine people on both sides. Oh, so white political violence is okay. Can you imagine if January 6th was black people? You think the president would have pardoned them? There's not a chance in hell. But see, you don't want to believe that because you are still living in privilege. Now, I might just be one guy, but you know what? I believe God gives us a talent for everything. And if this is my mission, is to shit on the white male patriarchy and break it down, then so be it. But I'm going to tell you people this with your red hats one time. You worship an antichrist, a Moloch, a false idol. You care more about him than standing up for dead children. And one day, you're going to stand before the gates with your AR-15s and your Second Amendment shirts and your Trump socks and Trump hat. And God's going to say, who are you? I don't know you. Do you see all these children up here? Columbine, Uvalde, Sandy Hook? Yeah, your podcaster's not here. Well, why, Jesus? He told me he was a Christian. He believed in God. Satan believes in God. Jeffrey Dahmer believed in God. Hitler believed in God. David Koresh believed in God. Lots of people believed in God. But you didn't follow me. Your faith was as deep as the gold cross that you wear around your neck. What did you do to stop my children from... But God, I own the libs. I demonize trans people, God, just like you taught me. You know what he's going to say? I told you to love your neighbor as yourself. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not boast. Love keeps no record of wrongdoing. I told you to love thy neighbor as says to heap hot coals. But all you care about is maintaining white supremacy. It's funny how you say that God created man in his image, but somehow you treat black people differently. It's ironic, isn't it? That you shit on people that are black on the outside while you're black on the inside. You have yourself a great white day.
Anyways, the truth is, there is nothing this man said that is not absolutely correct. There is nothing they said that is not what it is. It is what it is. I know that a lot of people will not buy this. A lot of people will be like, especially white folks, will be like, oh, what you're saying is absolutely not right. But it is. I just feel like a lot of them just have this wrong, annoying training. A lot of them just have this wicked brought up that at the end of the day, they are now transferring it to their current generation, and of which is not supposed to be. You get what I'm trying to say? Now, they will continue doing what they are doing until they now start regretting it or not seeing that what they are literally doing is backfiring on them before they can now realize and be like, oh no, I'm not supposed to be doing this. You can literally hear, especially the first clip that I played, where he literally said that they are being raised to see themselves as people that are on top, people that are supposed to be given authority, people that are not supposed to be oppressed. It's just a whole lot of things. And that is why I feel like a lot of their grown-ups, brought-ups, has literally corrupted a lot of their thinking. Except for few that will just wake up and be like, this thing I'm doing is absolutely wrong. Why do I find myself in stages like this? I pray a lot of white parents, especially, are doing the right brought up. You see, this is why I always tell, especially black people, that it is not going to be too bad for you to always educate your children the kind of world they are going into. Educate them and let them know that these white people has been brought up this way, so that whenever they experience something like this that is kind of off or out of boundary for them, they can literally be able to act like this, do like this, or just do something to create an awareness. Yeah, because when these people are bringing up these people, which is their children, they don't care. The only thing they do for them is to tell them, go to this direction, do this, and giving them a lot of false hopes that at the end of the day, they literally do not have. Now, are we going to be talking about the second clip where this guy will literally be having conversation with his family, and they will literally start asking him questions or telling him things that he knew that as a grown up is absolutely wrong. Tossing questions around, making issues where there are not issues, because his parents want him to fit into a certain narrative, fit into a certain society, fit into a certain world that was literally never what he wanted. And I feel like these are ways where a lot of white folks as well are being misled. Because just imagine you having a normal conversation and parents are asking you, why are you still mixing with these people? These people are the reason why we are having the greatest political blah, blah, blah. And you know that in an actual sense, these people are not the reason. We as white folks are even the ones oppressing these people. But you just want me to take that because number one, you are my parent. Secondly, I just have to say yes. And this guy has literally air out. Honestly, you see, I keep praying to God every single time that a lot of awareness should be known. And I feel like the only ways this can actually expand more, or the awareness can actually go more wider, is when you see a lot of people coming out to talk about what the real issue is. But it's even more painful that some people are not even ready to talk about it. Some even know the truth, but they are running away from the truth. I've seen literally some Black Americans that are doing content that will tell you that every single thing that Black people are saying about reparation, that Black people are saying about racism, and so on and so forth, they are all lies. Leaving the fact that a lot of Black Americans are experiencing this on daily activities. I just wish there will be more awareness. I just wish there will be more people speaking up. I just wish there will be more creators coming on board. But anyways, let me know what you think. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, like this video, drop me your comments, and lastly, do not forget to share. For disclaimers, this is just my own opinion, not to come here and rub on anyone's shoulder. And yes, thank you so much for staying stick with me to the end of this video. Honestly, a very big thank you to every single one of you watching my videos, dropping commentaries, liking, subscribing, sharing. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I am going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah. Thank you.